Hey, Shalom. Hey, much mercy to all you brothers that are understanding the new covenant and all you brothers that are growing in the favor of the Lord in this time, man. Much mercy to you, brothers, man. And the water Abba, our Father, which gave us his son, Hamashiach. Let me get right to this. There's no grace under the old law at all. There's no grace there. Because you guys are reprobating, you have no understanding, and you're carnal, you're teaching false doctrine. The whole doctrine you guys are teaching is false, especially when you go to Revelations 20, binding Satan up. That 1,000 years, we are in that 1,000 years because the Lord gave us the power to do that. And we are with the Lord. A lot of guys, you don't believe that because you don't have the power to bind spirits. This is the same thing. He sent the disciples out 2 and 2, and he gave them power over spirits. And this is why he said, don't be happy that the spirits are subject to you, but be happy that your name is written in heaven. So binding Satan and having power over Satan, you guys don't have that. You have been taken over by the serpent. All right, so that's why your doctrine is destruction, is lies, is false doctrine. You're not in the covenant with the Lord because you're in a covenant with death. You're in a covenant with the world. You're in a covenant with the serpent. So you can't be in two covenants. I'm going to go into this real quick. It's quite simple. You're not under any grace under the old law, and you cannot be in between. You're either one or the other. There's no in between. So that shows that you guys are lukewarm, and the Lord spewed you guys out. So a lot of you guys, if you have any type of sense or spirituality, you have to come out of these false prophet camps. You have to. You have a last few of the elect in these camps. It's not that many, but you have a few guys in these camps that need to come out, man. This is right. So by now, if you can't understand that the old law is dead and the Lord came in the first century to set us free, and after the Lord set us free, the scribes and the Pharisees, they were against that whole movement. They killed so many apostles in the first century and so many believers, and they martyred so many men because that establishment was in power. They had power back in them times. Right now, they don't have any power. Their power is with Satan, but Satan's power is declining. So there's no grace under the old law, all right? If you don't believe in the new covenant right now in this body, you don't have any grace. The grace is not for unbelievers and guys that are holding to the old covenant. You're not under grace. You know how else we could tell that you're not under no grace? By your understanding. You guys are breaking the scriptures down wrong without any faith. And then your elders say that the nations won't be blessed. But it clearly tells you right here. Let's go to this, read this right quick. You guys, bro, teaching, bro, you don't need to teach. Galatians 3 and 8, it says, in the scriptures foreseen that God would justify the heathen through faith. God would justify the heathen through faith. Who? God will justify the heathen through faith, preached before the gospel unto Abraham, saying, in these shall all nations be blessed. So I don't know what that old man is talking about. You guys are evil. And I seen another video where it says, we are not in the new covenant. You guys are Satan, bro. You guys are Satan. Now it's coming out like really clear. And you guys in these camps, you're all of Satan. You're a bunch of unbelievers teaching false doctrine with old covenant garments on, with no understanding. You're carnal. This new covenant is a whole nother language. All right. And we don't expect you guys to get it. We expect a certain few brothers to come out, and that's it. That's all the Lord needs. He don't need everybody. He don't need all you guys. And then you guys are not with the Lord. You're not in the covenant. You're not under no grace either. You know, you guys you're not speaking for everybody. You're speaking for your groups and your camps. You guys are not with the Lord. You're teaching false doctrine. And it's a penalty for teaching false doctrine. This is Galatians 5 and 1. I'm going to read this in the NLT. Galatians 5 and 1. So the anointed have truly set us free. Now make sure that you stay free and don't get tied up again in slavery to the law. This is a cut to you guys that are holding to that law. You are dead. Listen, I, Paul, tell you this. Galatians 5 and 2 in the NLT. Listen, I, Paul, tell you this. You are counting on the circumcision to make you right with God. Then Christ will be of no benefit to you. So if you guys are leaning on the law, Christ is no benefit to you. Let's read it in the KJV. Behold, I, Paul, say unto you that if you be circumcised, Christ shall profit you nothing. Galatians 5 and 3 in the NLT. I say it again. If you are trying to find favor by being circumcised, you must obey every regulation of the law of Moses. And so you can't just hold a Day of Atonement and wear those dirty garments out to the highways and the hedges, or keep a Sabbath day. You got to keep the whole law. If not, you're cursed. For if you try to make yourselves right with God by keeping the law, you have been cut off from Christ. So a lot of you guys, you're cut off from the Spirit. And you have fallen from grace. You have fallen from grace. Many of you have fallen from grace. All right? There's no grace in between covenants. It don't work like that. Either you're a part of the new or you're a part of the old. There's no grace in the old law. This is why the Lord came, to bring the grace. But you guys reject the grace. So you have fallen away from grace. Many of you have fallen away from grace. Let's go to this real quick. John 1. Yeah, it's heavy, bro. You guys are teaching false doctrine and no understanding. So it just baffles me, right? How guys can teach all these things, right? And then don't understand the simplest points. So without these simplest points that we're pointing out, you're not in the Spirit. You could teach however much you want to teach. You're not in the Spirit, man. You're in a hateful, unbelieving, carnal spirit. And you hate the new covenant. And you have hate in your heart. That's another reason why you guys are blind. Why you don't have no understanding. Because you have that hate in your heart. Crazy, bro. John 1 and 17, for the law was given by Moses, but grace and truth came by the Hamashiach, the anointed. Now let's read in the NLT. For the law was given through Moses, but God's unfailing love and faithfulness came through the anointed, Hamashiach. So the law was given through Moses, but the love and the faithful come from the anointed. John 1 and 17 in the KJV, for the law was given by Moses, but grace and truth came by the anointed, Hamashiach. So the law was the law and the grace came by the Lord. There's no putting the two laws together. You're not waiting. You're not in between. You're either in the covenant or you believe or you don't. Galatians 3 and 10 again. So you guys have fallen from grace. You're not under any grace under that law. And you're not in a grace period. There's the term grace period. Paul never talked of a grace period. The grace is eternal for the believers. All right. It's not a period. Just like the faith is eternal. The Lord, he's eternal. The new covenant is eternal. The old covenant, it was temporary. So a lot of you guys are temporary holding to that law. You want to be seen in old covenant garments? That is your glory, the flesh. There's no grace under that law. This is different. So if you don't believe in the new covenant, you're not under any grace. Reprobates, teaching all these things, but can't even understand the most simplest things. Strain at a net and swallow a camel. Guys are teaching all these things, but then don't even understand that they're not even in the Spirit. Galatians 3 and 10, for as many as are of the works of the law are under the curse, for it is written, curses everyone that continueth not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them. But no man is justified by the law in the sight of God. It is evident For the just shall live by faith. So the old law is not of faith. That's what he's going to read it. Galatians 3:12. And the law is not of faith. And the law is not of faith. All right. The law was never of faith. The law is temporary. You are cursed under that law. And the law is not of faith, but the man that doeth them shall live in them. Now, Galatians 3:12 right here, it says in the NLT, the way of faith is different from the way of the law. It is through obeying the law that a person has life. But the anointed have rescued us from the curse pronounced by the law. When he was hung on the cross, he took up himself the curse for our wrongdoing, for it is written, the scriptures, cursed is everyone who is hung on a tree. Galatians 3:13 in the KJV. Christ have redeemed us from the curse of the law. So this has happened already. Being made a curse for us, it is written, cursed is everyone that hangeth on a tree. You see that? Verse 14, more daggers, that the blessing of Abraham might come on the Gentiles through the anointed, that he might receive the promise of the Spirit through faith. You see that? So you guys are denying the Gentiles. What you're doing is taking the glory away from the Lord in this time. So you can't be under two covenants. You can't be in a grace period. Paul never mentioned a grace period, all right? The Lord never mentioned a grace period. The grace is only for the believers that are repenting and renewing themselves, all right? Let's go to this. So you guys are making yourself transgressors. Galatians 2:18 in the NLT. Let's read this in the NLT. Galatians 2. It says, rather I am a sinner if I rebuild the old system of law I already tore down. So you are sinning. This is what it means when you're sinning willfully. Because you're keeping the law the Lord came to destroy. That's sinning willfully, all right? All you unbelievers out there and all you guys that have hatred in your heart. This is why you don't understand. Because you have hatred in your heart. You have stony hearts, which will not allow you to understand the new covenant. You don't have a sincere heart. You have a stony heart of hate and murder. So this is sinning willfully. You're sinning willfully, holding men to the law the Lord came to abolish. The old law is dead, all right? It says, Galatians 2:18 in the NLT, it says, rather I am a sinner if I rebuild the old system of law I already tore down. For when I tried to keep the law, it condemned me. So I died to the law and stopped trying to meet all its requirements so that I might live for God. So you're not living for God trying to hold that old law. All right. My old self has been crucified with the anointed. It is no longer I who live by the anointed lives in me. So I live in this earthly body by trusting the Son of Power who loved me and gave himself for me. So these guys don't trust in the Lord. They trust in the law because they're carnal. See, they don't have the fruits of the Spirit. The fruits of the Spirit are believing, charity, and judgment. Faith, mercy, and discernment, judgment. These are the heavier matters of the law. Joy. You guys are in a hateful spirit. You're holding to the law, so you guys are under the curse. You're under death. That's why the whole doctrine these guys be teaching is destruction, and the Lord's going to punish this. And then these guys, they can't seal the elect because they're holding men to the old law. So you guys can't seal the elect, and you guys are chanting out destruction. And you're calling the Lord a name they didn't never call the Lord in the first century. That's the kicker right there. You guys are speaking languages the Lord didn't speak in. So you calling the Lord something else and the Father something else? It's crazy. Galatians 2:21. I do not frustrate the grace. I do not treat the grace of God as meaningless. For if keeping the law could make us right with God, then there was no need for the anointed to die. Whew. Heavy, man. Let's read this in the KJV. It says, I do not frustrate the grace of God, for it is righteous. So if righteousness come by the law, then Christ is died in vain. What does the word frustrate mean? This is exactly what all you guys are doing. And the cat's out the bag now, man. We see this thing for what it really is. We're not listening to you guys on the streets or you elders. Your credibility is zero. You don't have no credibility in the scriptures anymore. You guys need to stop teaching, bro. Certain of you guys need to come out of these camps and never look back again, bro. Because when certain brothers come out of the camps, it's gonna be like Sodom and Gomorrah when Lot came out. Then the Lord can get rid of these camps when certain brothers come out. He can't destroy the world and camps with certain brothers in there. You have to come out of that. If you can understand this, man, for what it is, you are of the Lord. But if you can't understand this and you're against the new covenant like these camps are, then you're of Satan. And that's just the truth. Now that word frustrate, this is what you guys are doing.
Strong's G 114, Atheteo.
Right, so there is no grace under the old law. You guys are frustrating grace, and you have fallen from grace. It says to do away with, to set aside, disregard. So you're disregarding grace. When you hold that old law, you're disregarding grace. All right, you're not under any grace. That's why guys are so reprobate and so evil, because they teach you all these things of the world or whatever, and then they're disregarding the sacrifice and the new covenant, what the Lord did in the first century, and tell you that you're waiting. We're in the period. We're not in it yet. Well, you're not in any grace then. If you're not in the new covenant yet, then you're not in no period of grace. All right. Reprobates. You're in the old or you're in the new. A lot of you guys are in the old, so there is no grace for you. That's why you don't have no understanding. It's heavy, bro. It says to thwart the efficacy of anything, knowingly make void, frustrate. So you make the new covenant void. You make grace void. You don't have any grace. To reject, to refuse, to slay. So you're refusing the grace. You're rejecting the grace. And this is what they did. This is prophesied in Isaiah 53. They rejected the Lord. So a lot of you guys, you're blaspheming right now. And a lot of you can't be forgiven. Because a lot of you guys, you're in the spirit of hate. So a lot of you don't have the Son if you don't have the Father. You see? You don't have the Son. Who told you you have the Son? You guys are in darkness, man. 1 John 2:11, but he that hateth his brother is in darkness. So these elders, they hate the other nations, not understanding that the Lord grafted in certain believers of other nations. So by you hating them, these are your brothers, the ones that believe. But you guys are of Satan. And then we see you guys, you hate us. You have murder in your heart for us. It says, he that hateth his brother is in darkness, and walketh in darkness, and knoweth not whither he goeth, because that darkness have blinded his eyes. And look at you guys are through, man. This guy's doing videos on him riding his bike, bro. Where's the gospel? Because you don't have the gospel. The Lord is not in you guys. It's crazy. It is crazy, man. 1 John 2:23. And this is what you guys are doing. By denying the new covenant, you're denying the Son. And whoever you calling on, you just see. By denying the covenant, you're denying the Son. So you're not in no grace. You're teaching false doctrine. All this acting guys like to do. 1 John 2:23, whosoever denies the Son, the same have not the Father, but he that acknowledges the Father. So by acknowledging the Son, have the Father. He that acknowledges the Son, have the Father. So how do you acknowledge the Son? By obeying his covenant. By you holding to the old covenant, there's no grace there, bro. You make the Lord's death in vain. A lot of you guys are remedial. Let that therefore abide in you, which have heard from the beginning. If that which ye have heard from the beginning shall remain in you, you shall also continue in the Son, and in the Father. A lot of you guys, you're not with the Lord in this time, bro. You're against the Lord. And this is the promise that he had promised us, even eternal life. These guys don't talk about eternal life because by you holding to that old law, you're setting yourself up for eternal damnation. And this is the whole working of Satan. Satan is beguiling men to the law, just like Satan beguiled Eve to the tree of good and evil, which was a foreshadow of the law, which you guys are stuck under the law. So there's no grace, period. Paul never talked about a grace period. The term grace period is not in there. Grace is only for the elect, period. Grace is only for the believers, period. So with that, man, let me get out of here. There's no grace in the old law. And you guys that are rejecting the covenant, you don't have God or the Son. All right? You guys are choosing men and their doctrine over the Lord, bro. It's heavy. You guys are not in the spirit. Repent to the new covenant. And with that, shalom.
I love this beat, Baki. This beat, Baki.